It's interesting. I think, Matt, one of the first places you have to go to is acknowledge that, one, they are smart people. They are smart people that obviously went and got information from somewhere, some person that they trust, that this is what's happened. And so the first thing you have to do is go, I totally appreciate where you guys are coming from. What led you to those conclusions? Who did you talk to? What information did you see? You have to unpack that before you go, okay, now let's also add in some more information to our decision-making process.
Welcome to 10 Tenths, where we coach agents out of burnout and into high-performing businesses that fuel their lives. Welcome, everybody, to the show. As always, he's Garrett Fry, and I'm Matt Pinelli, and we're excited for you guys to be here today. We got a great episode lined up, as always. I mean, is that a surprise, right? I mean, you didn't come here for a mediocre episode, right, Garrett? People came here for something good. That's what we're
I know. I hope so. Good morning, everybody.
Imagine turning on your podcast app. You're like, oh, let's see what mundane stuff is on here today. It's like, no, we're looking for the good stuff. And so, as you probably read in the title, I don't know if it's in the title because we haven't recorded the episode yet, but we're going to talk about the Dunning-Kruger Effect, which is all about the learning curve and all these things, which is going to be a lot of fun. Not only how it applies to the industry, but also our clients, Garrett, which is sometimes we don't pay attention to that space of knowledge and competency with the people we're working with and how we can kind of just help shepherd people along to make it easy for everybody. Well, before we dive in, 10tenths.co is where you want to go if you want to learn more about us and if you want to join our incredible community so that we can move through the Dunning-Kruger effect, that learning curve, and increase that level of competency and confidence all at the same time. And we have some wonderful people in our community that you get to do that with. So, Garrett, good morning, man.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we just came out of a group coaching call. We spent the entire time talking about affirmations and giving people different perspectives about how they're implementing affirmations in their world. So much fun in there. And again, as you said, a great group of people. Matt, you brought this topic to me, and I think it's a great one. I'm happy to kick this around today because as I'm sitting here and I've been thinking about how you shared it with me before we hit record, I'm like looking at all the areas of my life that recently I've been like, I've got this figured out. I know exactly what's going on. And then I told you this morning, I'm like, I just got my butt handed to me over the last couple of days, and I don't think I know anything of what I'm doing. And I think these are cycles that we go through. So explain this. Like you've got the background on this, and give the listeners a little bit of a background so we can dive deep.
So if you guys have not, explored the Dunning-Kruger effect, I encourage you to go just drop it into Google Images and you'll find plenty of different charts that show this, right? Because a lot of times when we think of a learning curve, it's like, oh, we just like kind of curve up. But we also all inherently know there's a little bit of a first peak and then you kind of drop off a little bit and then go up. And that is the Dunning-Kruger effect, is that your confidence. So if you have a chart, the y-axis is confidence, the x-axis is competence. And early when we do something, we increase our confidence pretty fast as we start to get a little bit of competence. And I believe this is because the percentage gain in knowledge at that point is so significant because you went from zero. So it's an infinite gain in knowledge. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm invincible. I can do anything. It's like the first time you drop a prompt into ChatGPT, you're like, whoa, I can command the world with this thing. And then you do more and you're like, there's a lot more to learn because your confidence peaks, which some call the being the king of Mount Stupid. And then it falls off into what some call the valley of despair, where you're like, man, the more I learn, the dumber I feel. And then you start to gain up and build in towards of sustainability. Now they do, some nicer charts talk about this being ignorance versus cultured. And then the gap between the two being the confidence gap until you get to, I guess, really say that, hey, I'm an expert in something, which expertise I think is also a subjective thing. It can be objective with certain things, but our goal ultimately on the Dunning-Kruger effect curve is to try to get beyond that valley of despair and know that, hey, we're going to cross that gap at some point and start to climb up. But when we're working with other people, Garrett, a lot of times these, where you are on this learning curve can cause some headbutting to occur, particularly when it's like a guide client relationship, an advisor client relationship. And sometimes we need to just put a little bit of perspective onto this.
Well, you made the comment when we were getting ready here about like how many realtors got into real estate because they worked with the realtor and they were like, oh my gosh, I could do it better than this person. It's how I got into real estate. My wife and I were looking at buying an investment property. I was at a stage of my life that a lot of you may not know, but I have an actual construction background, glazing background is what I used to do for a handful of years. I have electrical background. I know how to do that stuff. And we're like, what if we flipped homes? Like, what if we flipped houses? And we got all into this mindset. Sarah was going to design them, put all all that pieces into it, do the money on it. And I was going to do the work and we're going to flip houses and we're going to make millions. And then, and then we're not doing it. We never did it. And so what ended up happening,
investment properties, it just turned into something different.
What ended up happening is we ended up using a real estate agent, and about after the third showing, Sarah and I looked at each other and we went, oh my gosh, like this is one painful. I know we can do this better than this person that's helping us right now. And I would say we did end up being successful real estate agents and growing. And so with that being said, I think that there's this element that a lot of us come into real estate with this mindset of like, I can do this. And it's like, hold on a second, because there's so much you learn once you get into it where you go, well, maybe I need to like kind of recalibrate here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, like a lot of the times you're working with people, they're in that beginning, they're starting to learn more about real estate. Right. And I think this is particularly amplified in this industry, Garrett, because a lot of knowledge that we gain in real estate is through experience, through the act of engaging in transactions, going on consultations, and having these types of conversations, which you only happen when you're in the industry. And so there is some knowledge that, yes, you could read in books and certain things, but it really comes to you through application. So all of a sudden you're going to sell your house for the first time and you're working with a real estate agent, and now you've learned percentage-wise, comparatively, a lot of new things, and you're like, man, I know my stuff.
Yeah.
I could go do this better than that person can, right? And because that person might be in the valley of despair. The agent's in the valley of despair, the client's on the peak of Mount Stupid, and it creates this confusion. Now, but if we understand that, now we can unlock the education experience where we can actually create harmony and understanding. And this is why, too, a lot of times on Facebook, Garrett, regardless of the topic, you have the commenters, the keyboard warriors, just the noise that happens because you have everyone's on the top of Mount Stupid. Mm-hmm. Everybody. It's a crowded place. It's not even a mountain. It is just a massive plateau that everybody can just drive their car up onto and see the view, right? And because nobody's ready to engage in whatever that post is, right? NAR recently made a post, which I don't think it was a really great ad by any means or whatnot, but it received tons of hateful comments about how real estate agents steal money from their clients and all these things and everything. And I was like, well, all those commenters, they're not actively engaged in the process right now. So of course their confidence level is high, right? This is the Monday morning quarterbacking, right? This is every sports commentary there is. Well, gosh, man, if I was Tom Brady, I would have thrown it over to that guy instead. And then the Giants wouldn't have won the Super Bowl, which was really awesome that the Giants did. And I'm going back many, many years on this, but you get what I'm saying here, Garrett, I think.
But think about the amount of times a fan has sat in the stands and said, why didn't they throw the ball? You know, why do they keep running it? Why do they keep, we've got all these people that think they know what they're doing. And it's another thing to be in the trenches and actually doing it. I'm experiencing with the stock market right now. I am somebody that has really never invested in the stock market until about a year and a half ago. And I got into the stock market. I was like, this is kind of fun. I started playing around. I had a little bit of cash that I could play with. And it's one of those things that immediately I actually had some really big wins. And I'm looking at books and I'm listening to commentators out there and they're going, yeah, nobody can outperform the regular market. Put it in the S&P 500. You're going to do better. I guarantee it. Just leave it there. And I'm like, fool you guys. Like, look at me. Like, I got a plan. I didn't know what I was doing. I got lucky on a handful of things, looked at some stuff, some companies that I saw that were in turmoil. I was like, they're not going away. Threw some money into there. Of course, I made a bunch of money on it. And now I'm sitting here going, but when do you pull the money out? And now I'm watching the money start to go down. It's like, yeah, I had this big run up, but now I don't. But man, was I touting myself for a while, Matt? Was I just feeling like hot shit walking around the house going, look at my account, showing Sarah, look what I did. And she's like, you should be running all of our accounts. I'm like, maybe I should.
You're like, oh, the Garrett hedge fund is now open. Here's my prospectus. Please read and invest.
Right now, I'm having one of those moments of don't give me any of the other accounts. Let me just screw this one up for the moment and take my lesson, learn what I'm doing actually here. But I think that, that is that graph. That is exactly what you're talking about, Matt, is I'm having this reality check now come down. And I think we go through this for a while. We watch people with businesses do this all the time where they're like, oh my gosh, easy money. We're printing money. Restaurants do this. They'll come in and they're like, boom, we're so busy. Well, you're the new restaurant that just hit the street. And then like, we got this, and we see millions of dollars down the road. And then all of a sudden they get a reality check. Their confidence level gets taken down. And now they have to start to get competency of how do we now run a long-term restaurant? And you go through this wave for a while, I think. It's not just a once up, once down. It is a run up, run down. Okay, let's figure this out again. Take it, apply things a little bit differently. And we kind of do this until you get to a place, as you said, Matt, that you get to be an expert. I'm in no way an expert. If you call me looking for investing advice in the stock market, I have some interesting ideas. Take them with a grain of salt.
The Fry hedge fund open soon. We see this, to put another, I guess, visual on this, and then we can talk about how do we manage this. Driving a car, right? Getting on a racetrack. And we're going to experience this later this year with a lot of our people of our community, which is going to be a lot of fun. We talked about some event that we were going to be doing. We're giving you little hints and pieces of it here. When you first, when you go and sit in that room and you're getting the driver orientation, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. Like, how am I going to get out there on a track? I don't even remember how to drive a car. Which is the accelerator, which is the brake, right?
I've actually brought this already to somebody, Matt. I shared what we're going to be doing, and she goes, yeah, you're probably not going to want to put me on the track. I'm a horrible driver. Already.
Yeah. But then after a lap or two, he'd be like, I'm the world's greatest race car driver. Marco Andretti ain't got anything on me. I'm going pro. I'm going pro after this day, right? And probably for that day, most of us will be leaving on that high of I'm amazing. Get me out on the streets, right? And that guy revving his engine at the red light. Yeah, right, buddy. I just came from the performance driving center. You have no idea what you're getting into, right? But then, and I'm sure you've experienced this, Garrett, because you actually race regularly. All of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now I'm learning some stuff. Maybe my confidence isn't so high. And then you start to improve. And so now when we look at this, okay, how do we balance this out? If this is the learning curve that we experience, can we compact this a little bit? And Garrett, I think it just begins with acknowledgement.
I think a lot of it is an acknowledgement, and it's when you get those moments to get checked, that's where the real learning happens. That's where the real, so we just did a track day this last weekend. And my friend and I were talking about the different cars on the track and the different lap times and what we were watching. And there was this group of guys on the track. They were all in Toyotas and Subarus, BRZs, if anyone knows what those are. They're basically the same car. Toyota and Subaru produce the exact same car. But they were out there on the track in full goof-off mode. They were pitching these things sideways. They were going into corners, purposely disrupting the car, purposely. You would hear them coming down the straightaway, putting it into a slide when you should be going straight, so that when you got to the corner, you were all out of whack and trying to recover. And time after time, you would watch them blow up into the dirt off the side of the track. And both my friend and I were like, we would love to have a track day where we had the confidence level enough to be able to disrupt the car and just play that game over and over and over again, because it's those mistakes and those corrections that constantly bring you back to a place of learning. It's when you're come off of a driving school and you just think you're the best driver in the world. You think that until you overcook a corner and you spin out. And then you have this moment where your hands are shaking, your palms are sweaty, and you're like, I don't even want to be in this car anymore. I'm just going to go back to the paddock. I'm just going to park it. I think I'm going to take a little break for a second. And everything feels just like I have no idea what I'm doing. It's one of the reasons we're going to use this as an experience, is because you get that moment where you push it too far and you get all your confidence kicked out from underneath you. And I think that if you want to continue to grow in this life, the beauty of knowing this model, Matt, is that this is where growth comes from. It's not that you all of a sudden were great. And I see people leave the business in real estate when they have that kick out of confidence and they're now at the bottom. And they're like, what am I doing here? Maybe I shouldn't even be a real estate agent. Maybe I should just leave the business. No. You're just in the place of despair right now. And this is your moment. Take what you know, take what you don't know, and let's keep moving forward. This is why realtors that start in down markets, they're not at the this is easy game. They're in the down market, and they actually are putting the pieces together to make this work. It's not by just dumb luck that they all of a sudden get successful. Like, they've been in the trenches. And then all of a sudden they get a great market and they're like, this is awesome. And then the market drops off and they go, it's cool. I know how to handle this. I've learned that. The ones that start in the easy market and then all of a sudden go into the hard market and they're like, I thought I was incredible. I thought I was the best, but they never built any of the tools. It's why we watched a lot of those realtors bounce out. And this is in any industry, any type of job. When you get that easy upswing up front, you got to be so careful because you can easily leave on the downswing if you're not understanding what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, this is not, it doesn't matter the industry. This applies. And I think it's getting more and more amplified, Garrett, just as a culture. Like, we don't really push ourselves much anymore, partly because we have so many tools and comforts available to us, right? Where we don't have to necessarily learn new things because there's a tool or an answer right over here for whatever that is. And so from a inward perspective, if you want to flatten this impact that happens, because what's interesting about when you look at a learning curve or the Dunning-Kruger effect, like, you're still gaining knowledge and confidence over time. It's just a matter of the journey that you want to have while you're going through all that. And if you regularly try to learn new things and put yourself in challenging situations, you're going to understand the emotional ride of that big boost in confidence down to the valley of despair. And you're going to know what comes out on the other end, which I think for most people will compact that confidence gap that they measure there. That's the inward side. Garrett, on the outward side, this is where it gets a little bit more challenging, because you could have, coming back to this realtor client situation, where you can have a realtor who's in the valley of despair. So emotionally, they're, maybe like, gosh, I'm never going to learn this. Then they have a client who's like, King of Mount Stupid over here, which I just love saying that. I think it's funny. I don't think that
by the way, that's the title of the episode, King of Mount Stupid.
And now you have this weird relationship, and it's like, and we have to have a process for getting through that, right? If you have, and now hopefully most clients out there, for those of you who are listening to this, you have clients who are understanding and see you as an expert, that you have more knowledge than they might have access to it. And the other side of this doesn't make you better. It doesn't mean that they cannot comprehend the knowledge that you have that they do not have yet. It just means they need help in getting up to speed so that you guys can be on the same page. And this isn't an exclusivity of knowledge either. This is how do we work together? How do we bring our clients through this mountain fast so that they're not walking around thinking they know everything, and that can impact the decisions that are very, very significant for them, because they're not going to get a chance to do this over again if they don't get it the right way that they want it to be.
Well, and that's a fine line, Matt, of trying to get them to understand that they don't know everything without talking down, without being like, I understand you guys have done a lot of research, but forget all that because you don't know what you're looking at. Like, you can't do that. But you definitely can bring different data and more information and sit down and basically say, like, I want you to also look at this, and I want you to also look at this. AI, as you've said, is allowing people to rise to the top of Mount Stupid faster than I think than anything's ever done. Because again, you can run in. We just did the example. I think we talked about it on an episode where I can go look up a property and go, I'm a buyer. I don't want to overpay for this property. What would be a great place to start? And it came in at 1.2 million. We did it from the seller perspective and it came in at 1.7 million is what that property should sell for. This has now created two people on the top of Mount Stupid with hopefully the ability of an expert in the middle to kind of go, hold on, guys, let's just take a pause for a second. And
do you guys realize what mountain you're on top of right now? Which, by the way, to follow up on those episodes that we did, like I now regularly, like multiple times a week, will have a conversation with a client where they say that their client or the parent of a client has come to them saying, well, ChatGPT said we're overpaying, we're underselling, all of these things. So that is now, I would say, confirmed for me that it is regularly occurring every day in the real estate world.
The new one I heard, Matt, is somebody got their inspection report back before having to talk it over with the realtor, entered the entire inspection report into the actual ChatGPT to figure out what they should do, and then came to the realtor and said, okay, we've got a plan. And they're like, what do you mean we have a plan? We haven't even talked about it yet. I'm like, oh, no, we went over it with AI. Oh,
yeah, we need a new roof. We're probably going to have to get a new title search done. And you know what? We're just going to torch the entire thing. And the seller needs to rebuild the house from the ground up for us.
So here's the fun thing with AI. And I know we want to derail on this, but when it comes back and says, oh yeah, the report says it needs a new roof. And the seller goes, well, I don't think that's fair because, I'm not going to get to enjoy that new roof. I mean, it's not my new roof. It's their new roof. They should pay for the new roof. And AI goes, you are so smart, and that is a great way to approach this. And every realtor out there listening right now is going, oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. So, I love it. I love it.
That is the top of Mount Stupid, and they are getting fed lots of information from so many different directions, and they get so much reinforcement so quickly that they allows them to rise up there very fast, especially when something that says, you are so smart. Look at you. Keep it going, big guy.
That's so funny. My wife had texted me the other day because she was doing something. She's like, ChatGPT is so much nicer. And then she mentioned one of her old bosses. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Well,
but
if you want to
we have this situation then where we want to get through these differences, right? And we don't, and here's the thing, a lot of times as agents, we take it personally. And well, the quickest way is to just knock confidence out from the other person's feet so that they can come down to our level. And I don't think that's the right thing. We want confident clients because confident, clear clients commit, right? Those are the people who are going to commit to things. We just want to make sure that we're on the same page when we go through this. And this is where how you speak to your clients and what is the underlying goal that you are continuing to amplify for them to help them continue to keep their confidence high while increasing their knowledge so that, maybe they're not on Mount Stupid. They're just, coming up on the path.
It's interesting. I think, Matt, one of the first places you have to go to is acknowledge that they are smart people. They are smart people that obviously went and got information from somewhere, some person that they trust, that this is what's happened. And so the first thing you have to do is go, I totally appreciate where you guys are coming from. What led you to those conclusions? Who did you talk to? What information did you see? You have to unpack that before you go, okay, now let's also add in some more information to our decision-making process here. Now, we have all this stuff that we've learned through friends and your family members and your dad who you trust because he's always steered you the right direction. Now let's also bring this information in. And here's the resources. Here's where it comes from. Here's where we're using this and why we're using it to help us make these decisions. You just have to bring in enough to put reasonable doubt in some of these other things, which you're not saying it's wrong. It's there. It's real. It's a real thing. We've done this with Zillow for a long time in Zestimates. It's really right there. But we also need to, the minute you go, here's the accuracy rating for your area. And they go, there's an accuracy rating? And you're like, yeah, here, let's look it up together. Redding, California, plus or minus 30% is what it used to be. all of a sudden that number that they're looking at and you're going plus or minus 30%. Yeah, let's look up what that is. Plus or minus. How much does that change?
That's a big window.
It's that moment that they go, oh, okay, well, that's not accurate in where I was making my beliefs from now. And now we have different pieces of information to look at. You can't tell them they're wrong. You can't sit there and say, oh, you don't want to be looking at that. It's the reason you can't say, oh, during this process, don't use AI because it's going to steer you wrong. Can't do that. But you can say, as you're gathering information, we need to talk it through, bring it to me. Let's go over it before any decisions are made. Because again, they're at the top of Mount Stupid. I still love this, Matt, that we've embraced this. And again, it's one of those opportunities it's in the middle of it, not at the despair, not at the top of Mount Stupid. You have an expert that has confidence and understands what's going on. And that's who you are to the situation of real estate. So a lot of you need to own that, of this is your place in here. Newer agents, you might be going through the waves. At some point, you will find your spot of expert in there.
And if you search for a collaborative conversation and a collaborative solution, you're going to be able to manage this. If you're going to be combative about it because, hey, I'm on the top and you're on the bottom, or I have more knowledge and you have less knowledge, or I'm a realtor and you're not, then you're not going to get anywhere, right? If you focus on the collaborative efforts together, you're going to get somewhere. And let's hope that one of your clients isn't like, well, I want to get into real estate because, man, I worked with Matt and he sucked. Like, that's what made me want to get into real estate, because like, if he can do it, if he's making money, right? I mean, how many times is somebody listening to this podcast, and you can go over to YouTube and drop a comment under this episode, or you can download our app, find this episode and drop a comment there, of how many times have you looked at an agent and go, well, how the heck is he selling so many homes when he's incompetent?
I actually had that on a coaching call yesterday. How do you control your energy when you watch agents that should not be doing the amount of business that they're doing? They don't have the expertise and the years of experience that you have. They don't have all the things that says they're supposed to be successful, and they're just putting deals together, and it's not fair.
It's not fair, right? And this gets into where it's not even where you are on this learning curve. It's how you acknowledge where you are on your own learning curve, right? Because some people learn faster than others. Some people have a bigger confidence gap than others. Some people have a smaller, right? Some people are able to absorb knowledge and apply it right away, and some aren't, right? And the results that other people are achieving, and this is just a whole other thing, is like, it doesn't matter for you on what they're doing or not doing, right? Clearly they're doing something right. If you want to achieve the results that they're achieving, then look for the opportunity to learn about the good things that they're doing versus the things that you might think are not correct, right? And that becomes now, because if that's the way you're looking at it, you're on the top of Mount Stupid. Like, well, they don't know what they're doing. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, do you?
Well, it's funny is that we're going to have a episode that we're going to release here coming up, Matt, on perspective and people's perspective and what are you looking at. And this is one of the reasons that this topic came up for me, is because it's very easy sometimes to look from the outside and go, they're having all this success. It's dumb luck. They're getting so lucky. And it's interesting, on the inside of the other agent's mind, you have no idea what's going on. And they could be having all these deals happen, and their parents could be feeding them all their friends and all the deals. And internally, their self-worth may be, I'm so lucky that I'm getting all these deals, but I'm not doing it myself. And I'm not the one who has ownership of this. And they're beating themselves up. You never know what's going on. So the best thing ever is never assume why somebody's being successful, what got them there, what's going on. You can pay attention to yourself. And this is where, I mean, I've watched, and this is why I like this topic that you brought, Matt, is I've watched this so many times in my life, be it a racetrack, be it the stock market, be it podcasting, that we're like, toot, toot, here we go. And then it's just like, wait, hold on, wait. What did we do?
Every day, man, every day I feel like I'm like, man, I know what I'm doing. And then I experience, I know nothing. And it's humbling. And I think the other thing to acknowledge, Garrett, too, with this, and I hope you guys take this with you, is I'm not sure you can completely avoid this thing because we are emotional beings, right? And you're going to be like, man, I really think I got it this time. And there's going to be something that trips you up and brings you down. The thing that we need to keep consistent is that we should know that we can get through it. We know, and we should know that we're probably going to get checked on that as well at some point. And it's okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna evolve. We're gonna grow.
I think the idea of avoiding it is actually foolish. I think that any of you listening to this is going like, "Oh yeah, stay away from that altogether." That is growth, by the way. If you're experiencing this and you are growing, is what you're doing. You're pushing things outside the box. You're trying things you never tried before. And when you have those moments of like, "I got this all figured out," just realize in that moment where you're like, "I don't know anything." You're in the cycle, and all it takes is, some things that work, you've left some other things off the table. And as you start applying more and more what you learned over time, your confidence will become stronger and stronger. And you all know people in your world that they're just like, I get it. I look at my daughter with math. And there was a time in her life that, she was like, I don't understand how to do these math equations, these math problems. And then there was a moment where she's like, I'm amazing at math. I am the master of math. And then she gets moved into a new math class. She knows nothing again, taken out from underneath her, trying to figure out how to do math, going through this wave all the way up. And then there's a place over years of learning and experience and seeing all the different things that can happen that she can now look at an equation. I don't care what equation I put in front of her. And she's like, oh, this is how you handle that. That's what this means. That's what this variable means. And this is what you're actually trying to accomplish with this equation. And it's just like, how did you get there and how are you that confident with it? It's all the stuff that nobody else has ever seen. This is why in real estate, I think it's interesting because nobody sees the 20 years and all the real estate transactions that you've done. You're just a realtor standing in front of them, helping them with their real estate transaction that they do once every 7 years. They don't see all the background. None of us do. And that's where we can misjudge some people sometimes. And so from both sides, the real estate side or the consumer side, take a moment and stop and just be like, okay, who am I on this equation? Who are the clients standing in front of me that might be on Mount Stupid? And how can we figure out how to help get them to where they want to go and bring our expertise to the table? So great opportunities out there.
This would be my internal question now, Garrett. Like if I feel really confident in something, I'm just going to ask myself, am I standing on the top of Mount Stupid right now?
Am I the one? Am I the one on the mountain?
Am I like... What am I looking at here? Like, where's the sign that tells me the elevation and the name of the mountain? I need to find that for me real quick because I could be, right? That's going to be my.
There's got to be a great cartoon about that. So somebody 20 years down the business, just like that, and way behind them in the back is this awesome mountain with this like flag on the top of it. And it's like, what is that? Oh, that's Mount Stupid. I was on that about 20 years ago, but I've learned. And I've taken my bumps and my bruises, and here I am now as a professional in this industry. Everybody's been on it at some point in time.
Maybe we'll have ChatGPT draw a little comic, and we'll paste it in a link to it in the show notes or something for y'all. Little Easter egg for those of you who've hung out with us the entire way. We'll see if it happens. You'll have to go and look in the show notes or click on the thing in YouTube or drop into our community and find out whether we actually did it.
I know in track days and racing, I can remember the exact moment that I found myself having, I would say, going from the top of Mount Stupid down to the bottom of the pit of despair, which was on the west track of Thunderhill Raceway in a 2001 Honda CR-V. And I remember ripping around a corner thinking I had it all figured out. And all of a sudden I had my tail come around on me. And again, as I was saying, it was one of those, I just wanted to go park it back in the paddock, give another driver another chance. And I was like, I just went out of this car. But I was feeling really confident right up to that moment.
Yeah. The drop off of Mount Stupid is steep.
It's steep. It's scary. It
is significant. Like you get down there into that valley real fast.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say thank you to everybody who joined us for this episode today. Matt, great topic. Thanks for bringing this to the table here. And just as a reminder, your business should fuel your life. It should not consume it. And that's what Matt and I are here to help with you every single day. It's why we built this. It's why we have this amazing group of people. And if that resonates with you, come check out what we've got going on. 10tenths.co is where you can go to. You can also go download our app. That'll get you a start into our community, which you'll have some paths you can take once you're in there to figure out what level you want to come and play in our world. And in the meantime, go check out YouTube, subscribe on there, hit like, comment if you can. We'd love to know what you think about these episodes. And appreciate all of you. Matt, appreciate you. And we will be back soon.
Take care, everybody.